What is up, everybody? Toothless here today with another video of Raid Shadow Legends. And in this video, we are going over who I feel like are the 5 most overrated champions in all of Raid Shadow Legends. How many times can we fit the title in the opening 30 seconds? Let's jump into it with one that's probably a pretty controversial pick because I hear a lot of people just talking about her like she's God's gift to the game. But she just hasn't served my account that well. And on paper, she sounds like a pretty good champion, and by no means is this a bad champion. Probably none of the champions on this list are bad champions per se, but this is definitely a champion that does not live up to the hype. On her A1, she does have a single target hitter, steals 10% of the target's turn meter, and an additional 5% per debuff on the enemy, and has a 75% chance of putting a true fear for one turn. But if champions like Sir Nick get a 100% chance of placing a freeze on his A1 and it hits substantially harder than her A1, and a freeze is guaranteed, and he's a void Lego, why is a mythical delegated to only having a 75% chance for something that's already 50-50 if it's going to work or not? The A2 steals all buffs from all enemies, decreases each target's turn meter by 10%, decrease each target's turn meter by an additional 5% per debuff on them. Also, instantly activates one tick of all poison debuffs on all enemies, then places asleep for one turn on all enemies without poison. Well, and it's, once again, on paper, sounds like a pretty good skill. But you have to rely on the team to be running like Arbiter, Siffy, which are used in the arena a lot. And this champion is obviously meant for the arena. But if you go up against a team that just has like a shield or like stone skin or something, she can't really do anything with this skill, nor her other skills, nor her passive. And if they do put out, say like Siffy putting out 3 or 4 buffs on everybody, yeah, they're going to lose 20% of their turn meter. But there's tons of champions in the game that can decrease turn meter by 20%. That's not a super big deal at this point. And puts a sleep debuff on all enemies for one turn without a poison debuff. Well, yet again, sleep is the worst of all crowd control. I don't know if it's worse than True Fear, but it's right there in line with it. Because if they take any type of damage, even a burn tick, it's going to wake them up from their sleep. And then her A3, which, yet again, pretty good move. Not really for a mythical. She has an AoE, doesn't hit very hard, puts a 60% decrease defense and a 25% weaken on all enemies for 2 turns. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. This is basically a Lydia skill, but you're swapping the buffs out for a 20% turn meter fill. Now, if the turn meter decrease from the A2 was on this skill, it would be a really good skill and she would sit a lot higher on my list. But as it stands, I feel like the A2 and A3 should be the same skill. And then her passive, which is where she gets most of her love from, and given it is a good passive, if you have enough accuracy to place all this. Whenever an enemy receives a buff, healed, or has their turn meter increased by a skill, puts a 5% poison on that enemy for 2 turns, and it does ignore block debuff, so there is that. Increases this champion's turn meter by 5% per poison placed by this skill. So, like I was talking about Siffy and Arbiter, if they're putting out, say, 3 debuffs per champion, that's 3 times 4 is 12, so 12 times 5, that's a 60% turn meter increase off of a passive that doesn't have a cooldown. So she could theoretically just keep taking turns on her first form, but nothing on her first form is really going to deal enough damage to account for anything. So while it's not a bad kit, it's not mythical tier in my opinion. And her second form just doesn't synergize with it. Her stats are pretty freaking squishy with 17k on the HP and a 1.1k on the defense. She's got some good speed and she's got decent attack, but it's just she's squishy and you want her to stay alive to place these debuffs. And if you go into her second form, who is a damage dealer, her A1 is probably my favorite part of the kit. It's a quadruple hitter that ignores 30% of the target's defense, also decreases the target's max HP by a quarter of the damage inflicted, And if the target is not a boss, puts a shield on this champion equal to a quarter of the target's max HP. That is a really good A1, but like I said, she's really squishy, so even if you put her in Stone Skin, which would go against her first form, which is where you're getting all the poison damage from, a lot of champions nowadays can just straight up hit through the Stone Skin, and I don't even mean ignoring Stone Skin, but just deal enough damage to break through it. And then her A2 attacks one enemy twice, deals 100% more damage to enemies under any CC, and if the target is killed, it instantly activates her Feast of Terror, which is her A3, that does attack all enemies, but it doesn't deal that much damage. Places a True Fear debuff on them for 2 turns, and this debuff cannot be resisted or blocked by enemies with 50 HP or less, 50% HP or less. And then passive, whenever this champion kills an enemy using an active skill, grants this champion an extra turn. Each debuff placed by this champion in either form increases this champion's HP, attack, and defense by 2%, stacking up to 50%, and speed by 2, stacking up to 50 if she's in her alternate form. The issue I have with this is, arena fights don't really go on long enough for her to take full effect of this, and you can't really use it on bosses. Maybe spider minions, that's about it. And granting the extra turn, yes, that is nice, but you're going to need that extra turn to be able to kill one enemy. The only way you're going to kill an enemy with her, really, is because you have to use an active skill, and her A1 seems to hit harder than her A, or on par with the A2 and A3, is if you're hitting them when they're already low health. And it does loop back around, or you would think that, but then you look up here and it's on a 2-turn cooldown, so she can't really get into a damage loop like Onryo Ieyasu can about just hitting people at low HP, moving on to the next. Even a rare champion Aeris, if she gets a kill, she gets infinite turns as long as she can keep getting kills. And her aura 100 accuracy does help her first form hit through all the stone, or not stone skin, but through their resistance. But she's essentially a Calvalax mixed with Lydia, but you're subtracting Lydia's buffs for a 20% turn meter, which isn't. I would rather have the buffs personally. And the Calvalax is at the start of the fight and guaranteed, where her buffs relies on you going up against a team that has a lot of buffs. And like I said, she's not a bad champion, but I hear a lot of people saying that she's running the meta, and I just don't think that that's the case with her. Great champion design, very interesting kit, and she has her niche cases. Against Siffy teams, if you have her with enough attack and enough accuracy, and I have the wrong relic on her, but you put Arachno Elixir on her, build her light Calvalax, yeah, you can put out a lot of damage and do a lot of things, but it's just literally RNG. Everything about her kit is RNG, from the True Fears to the sleeps not being hit and woken up, to having them not having Stone Skin or other things that's going to negate the poisons to begin with. Her second form just doesn't deal enough damage when you compare her to other mythicals like Gizmax, Sigfrin, or even Geralt now after the buff. So that's why she's number 5 on the list of overhyped champions. Moving on to the next champion, another maybe even more controversial pick is Empress. Everyone is terrified of this dude. They always pick him first. They throw him out as bait so they can build their other teams, which actually kind of leads me to my point. Him and champions like Fabian almost work better as bait so that you can build a separate team that doesn't involve them, because you know whoever picks them, they're going to ban one of the 3. Fabian, Marius, or Empress. They're always going to pick one of the 3 if they have them, and whoever they throw out first of the 3, almost always, 9 times out of 10, is going to be banned. And Empress is a great champion, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he is the most useful champion in the game. His main use case is Arena, and we've kind of worked our way around him at this point. He's not immune to CCs, and with as many good support Reviver and Revival and Death champions as there are, you don't get as much use case out of Necrosis as you used to. While when he came out, he probably was a top 5 champion in the game. And he's still probably in the top 20 champions. But he's definitely falling out of value, in my opinion. And by the time that I finally got him on this account, I'd already had like 8 or 9 other mythicals. And he just doesn't make it on my arena teams. If I'm throwing him out, it's one of those champions that if they don't ban him and I get to keep him, cool. I'm not sad. He is a good champion. Like, he's definitely a 9 out of 10 champion. But he's not like that super S tier that he used to be. And the reason I say that is you're almost always going to build him with low accuracy. So his amazing A3 that strips Stone Skin, replaces him with True Fear, block debuffs, and then mirror debuffs to any buffs that they have, isn't really useful unless you've already killed an enemy, which means you've kept him in his first form long enough for someone else on your team to actually eliminate another champion. And that's assuming that they're not able to revive their champion before he gets to take a turn. So his first form is just kind of useless if you're not building him in the accuracy form. And if you don't build him in the accuracy form, it's hard, even with triple roll and quad roll gear, to get him up to the HP required to actually deal damage on the second form. And it's sad because his A2 is such a hard-hitting skill, and you don't need a crazy amount of HP. As long as you can get him up to around 100k HP, he's gonna close to one-shot just about anybody he goes against. And if it wasn't for him having to take no accuracy to get the double hit, like double damage, or sorry, to ignore 50% of the defense, you deal double damage if the accuracy is lower. So yeah, higher accuracy, he deals double damage. But in a lot of cases, especially considering how many defensive champions like Vulcanus that you see in the arena, it's almost better to have the ignore 50% of the target's defense if the accuracy is higher than this champion. And it just makes it to where you have to run him in his second form. And there's a lot of really good champions that you run mainly in their second form, but I don't know, man. I was very disappointed in this champion when I found him. I still think his passive is one of the best passes in the game. Necrosis is freaking brutal, and the fact that he can revive himself is awesome. But if you're being hit with a double hit, you're just going to be knocked back down as soon as you revive. And considering how prevalent Stone Skin, Unkillable, block damage, other things that would mitigate the reflect damage that his passive puts out, a lot of times you just don't kill the person that's attacking you from the passive like you did when he first came out. The A1 block and revives, awesome. But we have an epic whose A1 blocks revives and hits very hard in itself with Finax. So, for those reasons, I feel like he is a bit overhyped. He's still a great champion, and most accounts will get great use case out of him. But when you're at like the very end game arena, it's just very gear intensive, and I feel like that gear would be better used on other champions. Moving on to the third champion, and this one is kind of a cheap shot because they did buff her, and I haven't really heard anybody crapping on her since the buff. But look at these ratings. How can you get ratings that low? Like a 3.8 in Hydra, it gives her. But look what numbers she's going to put out in Hydra right here. This one, I guess I'm putting a twist into it. This is going to be an underrated champion. She's putting out more damage than Wallmaster Athorion, who double hit enemy max HP AoE puts out. I don't even like that. I want to re-roll that. I feel like we could do better. Okay, 201 million.9, so basically 202 million damage. Wallmaster Athorion only put out 124 million damage on Hydra. ever saves, we can get back into the video. Alrighty, we are back. I don't want pop-ups. So I guess we're going to put a freebie underrated champion here to balance out me trashing on all these other two very high-end champions. With her buff, now her A1 on the first form strips all buffs from the target, increases the cooldown of a random skill on the target by 2 turns, even if this attack lands as a weak hit. The reason that her A1 is so prevalent, in my opinion, is because she has a 3-turn unkillable and a 3-turn counterattack buff on this champion. So she's landing them A1s like crazy. She does have a cleanse on her A3 with an ally protection, and since she's unkillable, that ally protection is pretty insane. And she puts a shield on all allies equal to 30% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns, with an additional 3% of this champion's max HP per debuff removed by this champion. And since she is an HP-based champion and attack, but I like to kind of mix her stats up. I got 90k HP and 4.3k attack, and I'm hitting 400,000 to 500,000 damage per head on an AoE in the second form with that. And you use that A2 that gives her the unkillable, transform into her second form, and if she's got 3 debuffs, or if she's below half health, she gets a secret skill that cleanses this champion entirely, and then puts a 50% increase attack, 30% crit damage, and 30% crit rate on all allies for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. It's only on a 2-turn cooldown. You use that to cycle the 3-turn cooldown of Calamitous Maul down to a 2-turn cooldown, to where she essentially gets to use it every other turn. And her A2 Calamitous Maul, I don't know an AoE that hits harder in the game. Like, you could maybe make a case for Siegfried, but that's only if his A3 kills somebody and you're getting splash damage. But just like as is with no prerequisites, she's normally going to be low HP because of the provoke, counterattack, and unkillable. And, yeah, I mean, it ignores 30% of the target's defense, and her damage increases by 10% per buff on the champion and on the target. So, I mean, enough said about her. She's just, as far as nukers go, I feel like she may be the best nuker in the game right now. But back to overrated champions. We're going to pull out a champion who has been on the throne for ever since he dropped. Armand's the Magnificent. All you need to counter him is Stone Skin. And now with the release of Mercurial Gear, Total Guard, Mercurial Gear, straight up counters him. Stone Skin, he can't do anything. He can't steal your turn meter. He can't. Now, he might get lucky with his A3 and strip the Stone Skin off, yes. But 90% of the time, they don't even think about that, and they just either don't use the A2 or they waste the A2. And with that being said, I've never had an issue with Armands in the arena. I'm more afraid of Fabian. I think Fabian is, even though he doesn't really take turn meter away, he is the Armands 2.0. He is now and has been since release what Armands used to be. And I think people are still afraid of Armands because I could still throw him out as the bait pick on the first turn. And people ban him even though he's not really a threat in this meta. Not to mention, a lot of the new better champions are Force Affinity, and he's Magic Affinity, which makes him weak to the more prominent affinities in today's meta. So it's one of those like, well, yes, he is an amazing champion. He was like one of the best champions. I see him waving there. With the prominence of Mercurial Gear and Stone Skin between the two, it's hard for him to really get a chance to do what he used to be able to do. Moving on to number 4, Trunda Guilt Mallet. Man, I don't know. without even any boots. I've got her at 370 crit damage and 5.6k attack, and that's with no boots. I put some attack boots on her, and with crit damage sub rolls, she's going to hit over 400 crit damage, and she's going to get around 6k, if not 6.5k attack. My Geralt still puts out almost double the damage that she does. I can run her with Yumeko. I've seen the teams. I've seen people run double Yumeko or Wat Drodnia and Yumeko or Prince Kaimar and Yumeko, and I've seen her put out 1.2 billion damage. We just put out 1 billion damage with Geralt on an auto run that you don't have to manual or mess with skill resets. If we would have thrown in the Yumeko, Prince Kaimar, or double Yumeko with Geralt would probably out damage her dramatically. And when they buffed her or nerfed her, however you want to take it, because it could be seen either way, it still didn't really change much about her. And with the release of Tidus, it does make her, I feel like, overhyped. People still be like, oh, she's the best Hydra champion in the world. Well, Tidus and Wixwell can do what she does, but a lot simpler and a lot less work. You just throw them on a team, make sure it's speed tuned. All you gotta do. Whereas Trunda, you gotta go in, you gotta make sure that the skill cooldowns from Yumeko and Prince Kaimar are done correctly. And you also have to have outrageous 400 crit damage, and you need to have like 8k attack. Whereas Tidus and Wixwell, you just make them tanky, make sure they get a big shield up, and they're set for the rest of the fight. And for that reason, oh well, lastly, and Tidus and Wixwell can be used in multiple other areas of the game. Trunda is kind of delegated to just being a Hydra god, and for her to be as high tier as people rank her, I kind of want those type of champions to be more useful than Hydra. Because with the release of Chimera, Hydra's kind of like last generation content. Chimera is kind of the big thing now. Chimera did to Hydra what Hydra did to Demon Lord. So that's why Trunda is in my number 2 spot. Number 1, I don't even know who we are going to go with for number 1. Let's look in the vaults here. Who else do we got that people really love? You could definitely make an argument that Lady Mikage is overhyped, but I think everybody knows she's a free champion, free-ish, so she's good for what she is. Here we go. Onryo Ieyasu. Incredibly overhyped champion. He's supposed to be like this super hard-hitting void legendary that ignores stone skin, goes on a just killing spree. He kills one person, moves on to the next, and while all that can be true, I've ran him with 7k attack. Even now, he's right at 7k attack, but I've had him 7k attack, about 350 crit damage, and his A2, is it his A2? No, his A3 ignores 50% of the target's defense and stone skin. It seems like it never does more than half of their max HP. Like, no matter what kind of health they're at, if they're under half health, yeah, it's always going to kill them. But if they're not under half health, it seems like it doesn't really hit as hard as some other legendaries. Little Miss Annie, I would say, probably hits harder than Onryo. I feel like Little Miss Annie is a pretty underrated champion as far as just single target nuke. And now Onryo does have the passive that flashes a quarter of the damage across to everybody else on the team, and it does ignore 100% of the enemy defense, but it cannot be a critical hit, but it also will not trigger counterattacks. So, his A1, if he's fighting undead hordes, yes, it hits really hard because you're hitting 4 times. If they're not from the undead hordes, not really doing much damage. The A2, Before each hit destroys max HP by 10%, stacks up to 50%. When are you going to use destroy enemy max HP in the arena unless it's on like a Wukong? And then the damage inflicted by this skill increases by 10% per buff and debuff on the target, stacks up to 100%. And it can hit double. And if the target's killed by this skill, it places a block revive. So, yeah, cool. You get some damage there. But that's a lot of stuff that has to go into effect for a hit that isn't really that crazy. And it's single target. I don't know, man. I was very disappointed in this champion. He just did not deal the damage that he wanted. There's support champions that I feel like can deal more damage than him. We was just mentioning Lady Mikage. She can actually put out a surprising amount of damage. Gallius, since the buff, puts out a crap ton of damage, and you could make an argument of whether he's supposed to be support or if he's supposed to be a nuker, or kind of a mixture of both. But a lot of these new champions that are like half support, half nuker, they kind of get the best of all worlds. Gallius is a great example. He's bringing Revive on Death and a 60% increased defense. And he also brings a Provoke and an Unkillable with a counterattack on this champion. And his second form is bringing a decreased defense on everybody. And if I'm not mistaken, it ignores a lot of stuff like block damage and whatnot. Check it out real quick. Yeah, ignores 20% of the target's defense. He's immune to all CCs and randomly resets the cooldown on one of the champion skills whenever he kills an enemy once per turn or per skill. For some reason, I thought he ignored... Yeah, he does. He ignores block damage. So his first form is really, though, what I'm wanting to focus on. It deals considerable damage, and it kind of acts as a support. Same with Geralt. She's bringing a cleanse with crit damage, crit rate up on everybody. She's bringing a shield, and she's bringing counterattack and unkillable. So she's got a lot of support features with a nuker. Lazarius, while her second form is just straight up nuker, her first form has one of the best turn meter manipulation skills in the game. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%, then decreases the turn meter of all allies by 20%, then puts a big version of increased attack and strengthen on everybody. And she has a passive that revives a random person who's down every 3 turns at the start of her turn, and she brings Bell on herself. So, great support champion that can go into a second form and have an attack that will one-shot most champions, and it ignores ally protection, strength, and shield, and 30% of their defense. And even if it doesn't kill them, it takes half of their turn meter away and gives it to herself. Cometus, not really a support champion, but he's bringing block active skills with his damage, and he can still 100% of their turn meter and put all targets on cooldown. So, debuffer that can one-shot an entire team. Gizmak brings crit damage, crit rate, increased speed, and HP burn on everybody, AoE. And the second form brings ally protection and unkillable, and he can one-shot entire teams. So, with those champions bringing so much to the table, somebody like Onryo, or Armand's even, because Lady Mikage can do most of what Armand's does, plus a lot more. I just don't understand why these champions that are just like only damage or only turn meter are so hyped. You have all these other champions that do similar things that they do, plus a lot more, that I feel like just makes them a lot more valuable. And for those reasons, I think those 5 champions are pretty overhyped. Not useless, not bad, very good champions. But people talk about them, you see them on the list being like in the top 10 champions in the game on tons of lists, and I just really don't think they are. Let's do a live arena or two real quick before it shuts down. We got Viacek, whoever that is. She's got a cool avatar. I'm not sure which champion that is. Now, Marius is one champion that is not overhyped. He is. I agree with most people when they say he is the most like all around champion in the game. We're gonna throw out Fabian for bait. We want the Arbice if we're able to keep her, but we put her before Lazarius. That way they think that Arbice is going to be my speed lead, when in reality it's Lazarius. My Lazarius is running a little bit over 400 speed. Arbice is only like 350, 3. We're bringing in Gizmak for the, well, yeah, we won't know if he's going to pick one of the Rat King or not. The Rat King is really the only reason that I would not ban Marius. And since Empress is on the team, we're probably going to go with Geralt next. Empress can't ignore Geralt's unkillable, and where she has unkillable, Empress can't really kill her when she attacks him. And it kind of negates the whole, like, scare of necrosis with her. So we're going up against two of the champions I just said was overhyped. Are they going to prove me wrong and just completely mop the floor with me? I kind of feel like I have to. Well, he did ban my speed lead, which kind of sucks. But I feel like if we lose this, it's going to kind of make my video be null and void. Because I'm going to be getting beat by the champions that I just said was overrated, by champions I said would be good replacements. But I am afraid, especially with him getting the first turn, that we're going to get stuck in a stun lock rotation. We'll see. Maybe the HP burns will reduce enough turn meter to at least get us a turn from anyone, really anyone. As long as Gizmak gets a turn, we will stand a chance. Let's see. What are we doing, guys? Ba-boom! Get out of here. There you go. Case in point. Case in freaking point. There was two of the 5 champions on the list, and while he did get his stuns and a turn meter off, it did not matter. Gizmak was enough on his own to take out him, Armand's Empress, Warlord, and the heal reduction lady. I can't remember her name. Throw out our bait Fabian again. And here we are again, Empress and Armand's. Oh, he's bringing in the turtles. Leo is a really good champion. So is Donatello. You don't really worry about Maki or Raphael, but if it is a full 4 turtle team, I've started banning Donatello and leaving Leonardo in it, because Donatello really is like the glue that makes the rest of the turtles stick together. Lady Noel. Since it's only 2 turtles, I think we're going to ban Leo and hope for the best against Noel. Noel very well could outspeed us here and then freeze us all. I would fear Noel more than any of the other champions. Because Armand's actually has to get, like, going in a loop before he takes full control. See if we can burn off this stone skin. Okay, okay. Do we go for the nuke with Garrel, or do we provoke him? I think we just go one for the nuke. Embers is in his first form, so we don't have to worry about the reflect damage hurting us. And let's just go ahead and I think we can kill off Donatello here. And that should reset cooldowns on those two champions. And he left the fight. Alrighty. 5 minutes left. I don't think we're going to be able to get 3 more of our fights in to get the 5 key chest, but we'll run the clock out. Once again, throw out the Fabian. Fabian is a good bait choice because whether they ban him or not, it works in your favor. They don't get to use him. And if they ban him, okay, I've got other champions. I've got Lazarius to mess with their cooldowns. And if they ban Lazarius or someone else, Fabian is not a bad choice to get stuck with. So we got Arbiter and Embers. So right off the gate, I feel like we're probably not going to get the first turn. What do you mean lore-wise? I'm not too, I don't know a whole lot about the lore. Which champion's lore are you referring to? They banned my speed lead, so yeah, we're definitely not going to get the first go. So I think we're going to use Geralt's HP boost. It'll make Gizmak hit a little harder and make Geralt a little bit tankier. Go in our Arbiter. We all know what she's going to do. I just hope I don't lose my turns to a fear, assuming Embers doesn't nuke us down here. Oh yeah, definitely. I haven't seen Ninja Turtles in forever. When I was a kid, I never really watched the cartoons, but I did watch the live action movies a lot growing up. I had them on VHS. That's definitely an event that I wish I would have went for. Where Geralt hasn't got it. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say where Geralt hadn't took a turn yet, she'd probably be okay. Uh, I don't really want Lamasu fearing me out. All right, come on, Gizmak, nuke him down, nuke him down. Hell yeah. Put a pain link out. That way he's unkillable and will 100% guaranteed survive even if Ember somehow took a turn and nuked everybody else. And hard to say that's that, but we got to kill him one more time. Hold the turn meter or do that. All right, 3 for 3. I know the game's probably going to throw us a hardball here on the last minute. He's got the turtle frame and turtle avatar. Is he going to try to play a whole turtle team? +1, Fabian, that's 6-star ascended. Wow. Well, since he's doing that, we'll throw out Emberus as our bait. We might get stuck fighting a Marius here. +1 Marius too, and I just had a feeling they was gonna throw out a hardball. What do you guys think? Should we ban Marius or Fabian? I don't know, man. It's a hard choice. And if Sigvrin takes a hit, he's just gonna mop the floor with us. I think we leave Geralt out of the equation this fight and bring in Cometus just because I've got him some pretty tanky stone skin. Ah, man, this is a rough team. And they banned the Cometus. It's weird. I'm surprised they didn't ban Gizmak considering he ignores block damage. I don't know. Can we control it enough to get... I think we better block buffs because we're not going to deal any damage if not. Let's put out Revive on Death on everybody. At least we was able to petrify Fabian. Damn it. I know when I do this, Sigfrin's going to go into his second form. Oh, cool. We didn't kill Fabian, so it didn't put Sigfrin into his second form. Let's put Pain Link on him. Damn it. Why did I do that? Oh, that was so dumb. I should not have done that. I was just talking about not killing Fabian so he didn't go into his second form. I think I just lost the fight doing that. I can't do anything here. I don't think there's any way for me to come back from this. Nope. Alright. Well, we got 4 out of 5, so I'm happy with that. Is Classic Arena Tournament still going? It is. And we still need a few more tokens. Where are we at after the tier reset? We get into 5. Let's just do our Teox Cavalax until we get to some harder team. Teox, there he is. You can't really use this team at like the end of Gold 5 and early Platinum, but all the way up to the end of Gold 5, it's hard to beat this team as far as just speed running the arena. It will definitely farm up your gym, or not gym, or whatever it's called, the little things you get from lava, or not lava arena, regular arena. Man, I'm talking horribly. I gotta take some articulation skills. Even if Teox doesn't get him on that first hit because of Stone Skin, Gizmak can either A, burn the stone skin off, or B, go into his nuke if they're not under stone skin. Get Empress out of the way real quick. Burn. Take Fjord out. Take Sill out. And let's get Mithrala. Easy as pie. Not sure if that's the correct expression or not. Poisons, I just realized, are hitting 30k a piece. That's 4 times 3. That's 120k. If they don't have stone skin, they gotta stand up to. Assuming I don't get polymorph like that. Let's go up against the turtles. This is not the best setup to go against the turtles with. But Gizmak, as usual, comes to save the day. Another turtle fight. Let's see if we can one-shot him here. There we go. Dude, Gizmak is there's a couple of champions that have Pain Link. Gizmak is the only champion whose Pain Link is actually worth anything. Put this stuff together, I'm the glue. Going down the list. Damn. I've never really used Cavalax for anything outside of the poisons, but he actually hit decent. I mean, 65k ain't nothing crazy, but I didn't realize he could even do a hit. Alright, let's take Armand's out, then the extra turn will lead us into Thor. We hit through Arbiter's Stone Skin. Oh yeah. tanky Empress. Or maybe not. Cavalax hit way harder than Gizmac did for some reason. I remember when Torvald was like one of the best nukers in the game. This was years ago, but when he came out, man, he hit like a truck. And if you're not careful, he still hits like a truck now, but he's just kind of upper middle of the pack at this. Until you get up in Stone Skin. Ooh, I didn't realize team power. We may have to change our team up for this one. I don't know. We might be all right. A little worried about that Embers. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, we got it. Damn. They got like 40% more player power or team power than I do, and we still not like nothing. Now, here's a fight we got to be careful of. I would like to bring in Gizmac to deal with Odin block damage passive, but his turn meter, because of the blessing, interacts with Marius' passive that gives Marius extra. So we can't really do that. So I'm thinking we bring in Geralt, Sigfrin, and Camillus. But if Marius is not under Stone Skin, we could bring in Cavalax and Cavalax to take care of the poisons. We'll try this. Uh, what do you mean the Nell strategy? Okay, so that did not work. I wasn't paying attention to see what had happened though. See what actually happened here. Okay, so he does have Stone Skin. And I wish it was just a little. Oh, he will. I don't know. Marius might one shot me right here though. Oh shit, son. Okay. I was a little concerned there. I didn't think we was gonna get that. And which yeah, the if you're talking about the thumbnail, it was the first 10 minutes of the video I was going into why I felt like she was overrated, that I feel like Calvalax is a better choice because his poisons are instant and not predicated on another team being buffers. Like if it's not a Siphi or an Arbiter team, Calvalax or sorry, Nell just seems like she kind of falls flat. Not to say that she is a great champion. I just seem to get a better use case mixing Calvalax and Teox together. And it ain't like with Vulcanus. Vulcanus, HP burns off Stone Skin, so Stone Skin doesn't matter. With Nell, if they have Stone Skin, and especially with the Total Guard gear, it just seems like it's really hurt her performance. And I've never really been threatened by her in the arena on the opposing team. But maybe I'm missing something because I do hear a lot of people talk about how good she is. I just haven't figured it out for myself personally, so it's left a pointing taste in my mouth. I should have bombed. I don't know why I didn't bomb just. I mean, we're still going to win the fight, but that bomb would have shut it down right then and there. That Raphael is slow. Yeah, nothing really to be concerned with on this team. An annoying tanky team, but as long as we can keep Empress out of his second form, not really anything here. Yeah, that was kind of my point at the start of the video is like she can be a very one of the top champions in arena against certain teams, but as far as just being like a generalist, she's not really a generalist champion. And the teams that I use now, if I'm like really trying to get sweaty in the arena, yeah, I can go niche and fight like certain champions. But I prefer to just have like two or three different general use teams that I can swap around between depending on the situation. But I would like to gear her up like the way I have my Lazarius geared or Bias geared sometime and like use her against a Sify team. But I don't have Theodosia and I don't have Galathir either. So like I don't have like the best choice I would have would be like to pair her with a Death Knight or something like that, or maybe a Hilby. I mean, yeah, 34k on a poison's good. My Calvalax though, he's putting like 30, 31k per poison, and he puts out 4 poisons. So, I mean, my Calvalax is hitting 120k easy with his poisons right out the rip. Now, if they have Stone Skin or Feral or something that like gives them a way to block it at the start of the fight, it doesn't really do any good. But it doesn't really with Nell either. It just like you was saying, it's very situational. What was he running her with? You remember? I think we're gonna swap out Cometus for Garrel on this one. There's a lot of fear or force affinity. And we'll take out Sigfrin for our bias. Although it looks like Embers is their only real source of damage. I think we're just going to let Gizmak burn off the stone skins. Dude, I wish I could get a Magma skin relic. That new champion, Solinar, his Magma skin is supposed to be like 300% of his HP. That's going to be crazy. And yeah, I guess if I could get my Hilvy up over 400 speed to get that block damage out on everybody at the start of the fight, I could probably do some more nail teams. But so many champions nowadays ignores block damage. Like that new buff they gave Geralt, her A1 ignores block damage. So it's kind of hard to rely on things like that. Total Guard is really good. You can rely on it if you have non-piece because not many champions for meta arena are doing, at least not right out the gate. That's one thing Nell would be good for is getting rid of Total Guard because her A1 on the second form is a quadruple hitter. So I mean, she would strip any, like she would be good to counter a team that had a bunch of Mercurial gear on. Hadn't really thought about that. The Hilvy Torment team is a pretty good team. I think I'm going to run a Frost team. You saying that? Where's my nail? We'll do the Christmas team. I reckon we could try to incorporate Nell into this team and see how she's working in Classic Arena. Between his revives and getting sheeped constantly, that Wukong's being a dragging the fight out a little bit. Dude, that Cernic buff that they gave a few months ago really bumped him up. He hit surprisingly hard. I don't know if this team can take that team. Probably not, but we'll try it anyways. I got plenty of arena. Yeah, does not stand a chance. Which I don't have these champions geared like I do my mythical either. Go back to the mythical for that team. When was the Oslan fusion? I, I've been this account's about 4.5 years old, but I don't remember when the Oslan fusion. That Marius in total guard, that's a scary thought. Yeah, that's a scary team right there. You didn't get any of those champions? I regret not getting Stock or the Mad Hatter. Since I've got Vizig and Gizmak, Stock would have been so good to make an ogre team. And I got Bellatar Mage Slayer, and after the buff, he's pretty good. Yeah, Jeroboam is not a champion that I mean I've used him just because I had the stuff to do it at the time, but that is not a champion that I would, I guess, regret missing out on. But what do you mean he took your account? Like took your account, or like you said, hey, get this fusion for me? And those fears kind of messed with me there. How come that didn't take away from his total guard? Why didn't I get block damage there? Damn. Oh, you're good. Where are you from? What is your native language? Okay. Well, good. The way you said it, I thought somebody might have like took your account. I was gonna say that would be horrible. But no, what's your native language? Where are you from? Man, we was on such a streak and we just got wrecked 2 fights in a row. That's cool. Uh, do you live here in America or do you still live in Brazil? I don't know a whole lot about it over there. I was originally born in Germany myself. I've lived here in America for 19 years now. I hear it's very hot in Brazil though. I know that's pretty stereotypical to be like, oh yeah, how's the weather over there? But now I've heard it's very hot and humid there. Something I've always been curious about other countries, you might know. It, the other countries, do they pretty much all speak English as well, or is it just like certain people do, like as a second language, but most people just speak the normal? Well, 29 degrees, that's only, or Celsius, that's only about 65 or 70 degrees. That's about what it is. See? Dude, Predator is a champion that kind of shocked me at how good he wound up being. He got a lot of hate when he came out. I think people were just hating on him because he was a pay to win champion that you could just outright buy. But for 25 bucks, man, it's hard to beat a legendary. I mean, it's hard to get a legendary for 25 bucks to begin with, but Predator, man, he's a freaking Predator, man. His A2 smacks and he's hard to kill. English has a lot in common with Spanish as well. Like there's working purposes, what do you do? Well, you ain't got to tell me, but just out of curiosity, how does it correlate with working, learning English? But I've heard a lot of people say Spanish is a lot similarities to English, just as in like a lot of the words, similar things. But I really couldn't. I don't know a whole lot about it outside of the 2 years of Spanish I had to take in college, or sorry, in high school. I don't really know much Spanish. I can still speak a bit of German, but that's about the only other language I know. Dude, this is a scary freaking team right here. I know we're gonna. I don't think we have a chance of winning this fight here. Theodosia has really changed the meta. You don't see her a whole lot, but like when you see her, man, you know it. And Geralt's popping off with them counterattacks. I almost hate to switch her form. Okay. I really did not think we was going to win that fight. Oh, that's cool. Is it like so? It's like a requirement to speak English to work there. I work. I do quality control and inspections for torque converters, and I do the specialty painting for like display parts and stuff. I think Gizmac can go ahead and take this team out. We don't need anybody else. Yeah, I was not expecting to win that. Especially with this generalized team that's not like specialized to go up against something like that. I'm telling you though, it's that Geralt buff, those counterattacks that she gets with the strip on the A1. It's more valuable than a lot of people realized. I do. I think she's a top 3 champion in the game now after the buff. It might sound like an overhype, but from what I've used her in, she's definitely the most valuable champion on my account after Lazarius and Gizmac. Like, my 3 favorite champions right here is Lazarius, Gizmac, and Geralt. Then probably our bias. Then Sigfrin probably isn't in the top 5. He's great in the arena and he's a great campaign farmer, but he's just strictly damage. Like, keep that monkey out of here. Yeah, I agree. I've heard a few people catching on to that the meta is switched from magic to force, but it's still kind of lesser known how much the meta has shifted in the last few months. But I agree, it's definitely a force affinity meta right now. And there's not many good spirit nukers either. Like, I probably couldn't list 5 spirit nukers that are actually like worth building up and bringing in. I don't know anybody else that's on like the same level as Geralt that's spirit affinity. Like, what's next in line? Ezio, that free login champion out right now. He's really good in the arena, but he's not like he ain't like Geralt. I was disappointed after Mesamel's buff. And I don't even want to touch that team right there. There ain't. Yeah, I agree. Now Carnage, he's a threat, yeah, but like you were saying, the block actives and block passives really what he's cases for. As far as raw damage, Geralt's probably it. Like, she probably is the best just raw damage for spirit affinity. For somebody who's took a long break for like 6 fusions that you listed off, surprised you still know as like you're as up to date on the game as you are. Impressive. Nias, I should have put on my list of overhyped champions. A Wanda submission takes him out when he goes into the second form. Uh, Poisons and burns. If you have poison plus block buff or burn plus block buff, and he goes into the second form, the poison or burn will take him out when he transforms. Like, there's just so many ways to hard counter Nias that it's like, yeah, if you're unprepared, he's going to whop your whole team. But if you know how to prepare for him, he's nothing to be afraid of. And he hits decent, but he doesn't hit that hard. Before Carnage, I think Ronda's the only other champion in the game that has the block passives. Oh. I did not realize this was Mary. I've got to start looking at these teams before I go up against, instead of just clicking fight and not looking at who's on them. Does Ramontu deal a lot of damage? Honestly, don't know. I don't have him, and I don't go up against him enough to really know. Oh, you mean the block passives? I forgot all about him. Damn. Yeah, I honestly forgot all about him. I have never been happier to get hit with a brimstone. It enabled Garrow to be able to use passive or hidden skill, whatever. A +4 6-star Commodus. Holy crap. I'm afraid I'm afraid to touch this team. I'm gonna try it just to see how hard it hits, but I don't stand a chance here. In what way? Like, what do you want to see done? I feel like Nell just sucked me into the underworld. You mean like a relic that would be like ignore block damage or block revive or something? I could see them bringing in a relic that allowed you to like ignore block revives. Yeah, I could see them doing that. But it would have to be a mythical relic because if everybody got it, then everybody would just be ignoring block revives, and it would kind of make a lot of champions not really useful, less useful. Where is their damage supposed to come from? I'm looking at the team and it's like, does anybody on that team deal any damage? They're all tanky and they're all really good supports. Like, they're all very top tier champions, but I don't think anybody on that team hits. That's going to be an annoying team to take down, though. Yeah, don't we all? Unless you're going to get like top place in an event, it's kind of hard to get skill tomes. But you can get like one a month from a clan shop or whatever. I used to book out my champions a lot, but the game's been very generous to me in Demon Lord as far as giving me a bunch of legendary skill tomes. And I don't really like spending $100 on books to book out one champion that I may or may not ever use. Damn, that Galathier is tanky. I knew this was going to be like a tanky, annoying team. I didn't think it would drag out this long. There we go. Alright, we'll take Geralt off. We need some stone skin to block these freezes. Hopefully Nell ain't got enough accuracy to strip my stone off. Oh, that 9-piece total guard on Nell. That's gonna be a pain. What champions are you running now? Yeah, we're stuck in the freeze loop. Hodis isn't really good for the arena, no, but he is very good for Clan Boss and Hydra. So you could definitely use him to get your legendary books from Demon Lord. Yeah, I don't have Galathier. I don't have Leonardo or any of the turtles other than Donatello and Maki. I just got Emberus like 2 months ago because I ignored Chimera for a long time, and my account's kind of all over the place. I don't have Marius either yet. I just never took the time to do the mission, sadly. I wish I had Galathier, man. Damn it. A rough team. Geralt does have protected unkillable. Maybe we can get through it with him. Ah, shit. I used the wrong button there. I mean, Wukong is still really good in the arena as long as you've got somebody that can stay alive. I don't think I'm able to beat that team, sadly. And he's bringing a lot of buffs. I could try. I might try my Vulcanist team, because there are a lot of buffs there. No, I pulled her from a primal. I haven't got a single mythical from a remnant. Damn it. Yeah, that's an old school team, but dude, it still works. I haven't done it in a while, but I still run Wukong and UK every now and then for giggles, basically. I didn't even get Ultimate Death Knight till like 6 months ago. My account, it's weird, man. I'll get like the most random champions, like not the way like outside of fusions, and I can never get them on like 15x events or anything. But then I'll be randomly pulling like just 2 or 3 shards I got from Demon Lord or something and get them. Seems like I never get them when I try to get them though. I will I'll show you how I got my all of my mythicals. That's how I got all my mythicals. I added it up one day. I've spent all like 47 grand on this raid account. That buff on Marius. Storm Call? I don't know what Storm Call is. I don't I don't think I've ever seen Storm Call in the game. And we was talking about the if there's any other spirit affinity nukers that hit as hard as Geralt. I forgot all about Teox, man. He can hit as hard as Geralt, if not harder. But he doesn't have any survivability like Geralt has. How many turns does it take, or like how does it get procced? I wish I had a Krisk to use on my Teox team. I'd run a Lazarius, Teox, Pythion, and Krisk. I feel like that'd be a badass arena. Yeah, I agree. One on an upside though, if you have Lazarius to pair him with, she'll revive him passively, even if she's like stunned and stuff because of her passive. And if you had a Pythion on the team to pair him with and a Krisk with ally protection, you wouldn't really have that as much of an issue. That's crazy that we can land a provoke through Stone Skin and a block debuffs. Yeah, I could see that. Is it from a relic? I'm assuming it's from a relic. I don't know which relic though. Where are we at on the arena competition right now? 9-10. Yeah, I think we can take first place. Need 1100. How much are we getting per win? $13. So we need like 17 more wins to get first place. Oh, it's just called Stormcaller? Okay. Yeah, I haven't been lucky enough to get any of the mythical relics. I did pull 3 Wanda submissions in a row like 2 days ago. Like literally, I pulled it all Grim Forest mats too. I had 100 mythical materials, 100 legendary, and 100 epics, and I got a Wand of Subjugation on all 3 of them. Speaking of that, I need to level them up and put them on my champions. I feel like that's I'm not gonna say it's the best relic in the game, but for the arena, it's definitely a top 3. I've got a Chimera team set up. I run anymore. I run this team and it gets like 7 or 8 trials done, and it gets me the final chest every time. So I pretty much just run that. Oh, hell, we never even claimed our chest from Demon Lord. And yeah, I agree. The Wanda submission, not anybody. Blue shards from just about every chest. I should probably try to make a team to get more trials done. I just haven't done that yet. I feel like Senna probably has helped my account out PvE, like not in the arena, but other areas more than any other champion. She just basically doubles my damage output every aspect of the game. She's not a champion that gets hate per se, but I don't feel like people talk about her enough. She is such a like it's hard to call her underrated because nobody talks bad about her, but it just doesn't seem like she gets the love she deserves. I remember making a video on her when she first came out, way before Ash made a video about her, and it was like, other than that video Ash made, I don't think I've ever really heard anybody else for very much. But she's the best turn meter filler in the game, in my opinion, and one of the best healers. Yeah, it's one of those like, do you want some of the challenges, but you get enough damage for the top key, or is it like you want the challenges but not enough damage for the top chest? It's hard to find a middle ground that gives you like over 10 challenges but still the chest. Damn, I was not expecting that. At least with that, it's kind of plug and play. I should have used Darius's A2 to block the stun debuffs. Just I always get caught off guard by these teams. I forget how heinous Sify Rotos combo is. I need to actually like study the trials and see what needs to be done. I think I'm just going to give up on that team. Can't win them all. I would like to get first place in this championship for those relic materials. Have you got any maxed out relics yet? No. I've got a couple that's +5, but none fully +6. And I can't bring myself to get rid of my +5s for one singular +6. But there's a couple of relics that get like literally double as good once you get them to 6 from 5. Oh, that fucking smite got me. I want to redo. We can beat that team. I don't know what I don't know what I was thinking there. Which wand? Which one are you talking about? I always feel like uh his pain link. Oh, the wand of submission. Yeah. Did you get it the freebie from the event or did calm down there, Lee. No, back last year, around this time last year, how they're doing that calendar event. Uh, they had the wand of submission as the guaranteed relic. This year, I think everybody picked mask or called. I don't have the Oculus. Before I got those wand of submission, I've yet to level up. I didn't really have a lot of good relics. I had a ton of arachnolic and of like my poisoner, like Ezio and Calvalac. I didn't really have many. I had a couple of aspect roths on that delay. I had 4 or 5 different ones. None of the like real. Is your Galathyr sended like blessing? Yeah, that's same with me for my Wanda. I got them from. Damn, that is. Of course, I'd be. there a soulstone? Yeah, but it's not a two. Got a few. Might as well. That new Vestale champion and that new like ice bear dude that came out, they are busted, man. You seen those? Nothing we can use, sadly. On the nukers, probably about three, like 280. I'd have to look. I'm actually on Commodus. I have wow 230. Uh, okay, so not 300. My nuker is Commodus 230, 264 on Get Mac. Or so around 230 to 250. Wow, they're a lot slower than I thought. 257. My Lazarius, I've got her at 400 and our bias, not really that fast. Like, not fast at all, sadly. Got a legend. Yeah, I would really almost run a speed at least champion, preferably that can hit over 50, not 40. Even then, I get out Sippy team. Yeah, the 75 or 6 more. I would like to get all my nukers up to about 3. Have you seen the new added in these for the barbarians? He might turn into busted game, not the like he's definitely meta changing. Predator is definitely a champion slower with. Kind of build him like you would a Death Knight, just really freaking low HP. Where he gets those counter attacks and fades. He has a lot of good survivability. Yeah, I haven't. I played against them last night in Lava Arena, but they only had him like level 47 and no blessings. So I didn't get a good taste of what he was going to be like. But no blessing and only not even fully level 6. Got some crazy damage. And he was really hard to kill. Androck's another pretty. What's KEK? But yeah, I couldn't remember if I won that match or not, but I did remember he hit hard as a truck, like a Mack truck. I didn't see the fear vote. Oh, feels so bad when a team that's half my team power wrecks me. When I get up into platinum, I gotta pay matchups. Like three. Yeah, I don't either. Some champions' AI is programmed great. Like it almost seems like they play in response to what you play. Other champions, their AI is They might as well just be clicking the A1. What do you think about where you can your team, like your own team, can fight your team out of, or your clanmates can fight your team, like out in. Does your clan communicate with each other much? There's like two or three people in my clan that does, and everybody else silent most sadly. I wish I was in a more like they're active in game, but they don't. I wish I was in a more active clan as far as talking. Like they, yeah, I really like the idea of it. But like I was saying, nobody in my clan really talks much, so we don't. I don't really. We've won the last few seasons we had though. Playing. Hey, we're in platinum now. Nick Friend's little shield bubble popped up after he already went down. That was funny. I think I've got like two or three. I'm almost. When does the tournament end? Is it tomorrow or? I guess I got one more day down. I'm not. After being stuck in the gold for so long, seeing the platinum is such a change. It's so much fresher. Tomorrow, see if we're. Yep, number one by 40 points. But by this time tomorrow, they'll probably be at 2,000. Well, I had a bunch of arena fills lying around, so I figured time to use. Oh, I gotta craft some stuff in. It's only a 5 star. Max. See if we can get any good. Rate gauntlets are only 5-star, but still gauntlets. That took a lot less thought it was going to take. Are you a free to play or do you spend money on low spend? I kind of am now. I probably spend a couple of hundred, not a whole lot, but I used to spend out like every day. I just kind of got to a point that there's not much I could pull that would change my account, so kind of see. If I wasn't, I'm thinking about, because I didn't get Solinar, so I'm thinking about skipping the fusion, even though I'm already a little skipping the champion chases and just doing events that are in requirements, get the fragments, and then available cash in the fragments for some odd like chests to get odd fragments. Wait a minute. They're gonna do a Bassum fusion, or is that what the? Oh, that's the master deck effect. How you get Bassum. I was about to say they gonna do a Bassum fusion because he's got fragment summon, but now they're just deck effect. Yeah, I've got a free to play that actually it does pretty decent. I was able to get an area one in a Arnorn, and I started it Loki. Yeah, I don't think any of the assassins are, to be honest. But yeah, I think I'm just going to skip out on the champion. Well, when yeah, there's what is there going to be one more champion chase for Nodula, Odula, whatever. If I have to spend any money, not going, and I'm just going to save all my shards that I get between now and next month when the anniversary. And I'm sure there's going to be some champions coming out for that, and I'll probably just save up my shards and everything for anniversary out on this fusion. But I got to get up for work in the morning, man. It was nice talking to you. I'll be back on tomorrow around 6 or 7 my time. That's standard time. It's 10:30 here now, so if you want to check me out or hop back in and talk tomorrow. Raid's not really. I mean, yeah, technically a game, but it's a raid is gambling mixed with Dungeons and Dragons. I look at raid like I would a slot machine, just with a little bit of strategy. It's basically Dungeons and Dragons mixed with a casino. But I gotta hop off here, like I was saying. I gotta be up for work in the morning. So, y'all have a good night.